There are moments in life when the weight of your struggles feels unbearable. You wake up in the morning and the heaviness is already there, pressing on your chest before you've even had a chance to start the day. It follows you to work, it lingers in your conversations, and when you lay down to sleep at night, it's still sitting on your shoulders. The cycle continues, and you wonder if your whispers, your prayers, your tears have gone unnoticed. You begin to question, have I really been heard? Does it matter that I keep asking when nothing seems to change? But what we often miss is that sometimes the first sign of an answered prayer is not a change in the situation itself, but a shift within you. And one of the most beautiful signs of all is the quiet arrival of peace. Think about it, how many times have you been drowning in your worries, convinced that you cannot endure another day, and then unexpectedly you wake up one morning and realize your heart feels just a little lighter. The problem hasn't disappeared. The challenges are still there. Yet something in you feels calmer, steadier, stronger. That is not an accident. That peace didn't just appear from nowhere. It's a response to your cry. It's a gentle reminder that your voice was heard. Peace is one of the clearest signs that you are not abandoned. Because peace doesn't come when everything is perfect. It comes when you are still in the middle of the storm but find yourself able to breathe again. It comes when you can smile despite the uncertainty, when you can look at the same struggle and no longer feel completely broken by it. That peace is the answer you've been waiting for. It's the signal that healing has already begun. Imagine someone with a deep wound. At first it bleeds and causes unbearable pain. But eventually the bleeding stops. The scar may still be there, the pain may still throb, but the healing process has started. That's what inner peace is. It's the bandage over your heart that shows recovery has already begun, even if the scar hasn't disappeared yet. Maybe you've experienced this without realizing it. You've cried night after night, feeling as though you're falling apart. Then one evening you notice that the tears don't come as easily, or you're sitting alone. And instead of being consumed by hopelessness, you feel a strange stillness, a whisper that tells you you are going to be okay. That whisper is not your imagination. That stillness is not random. That is an answer. Often we expect answered prayers to look like immediate change. We expect doors to swing open, problems to vanish, relationships to mend overnight. But sometimes the most powerful answer isn't the change of circumstance, it's the change of heart. Because when your heart is at peace, you are no longer crushed by what you're carrying. The burden might still be there, but now you have the strength to walk with it. And that strength is a sign that you've been heard. Think of peace as the sunrise after a long, dark night. The night doesn't end in an instant. It doesn't flip like a switch. The sky doesn't go from pitch black to blazing sunlight in 1 second. It happens slowly. A faint glow on the horizon, a hint of light breaking through. The colors gradually shifting until the full warmth of day is revealed. Peace works in the same way. It doesn't always come all at once. Sometimes it arrives gently, like the first rays of dawn, reminding you that the night is not forever. So if you've been struggling and suddenly notice moments of calmness, don't dismiss them. If you find yourself laughing again, even when nothing in your situation has changed, recognize it. If you feel a flicker of hope in the middle of despair, honor it. These are not coincidences. These are not meaningless. These are signs, subtle but powerful, that your cries have reached where they were meant to reach. And here's the beauty. Peace doesn't just soothe your heart. It also strengthens your resilience. When you feel calm, you think clearer. You stop making decisions out of desperation and start making them out of wisdom. You stop feeling powerless and start realizing you can still take steps forward. Peace empowers you in ways that fear and panic never could. And that empowerment is part of the answer you were waiting for. You may not have everything you ask for yet. The job, the healing, the reconciliation, the breakthrough, they may still be on the horizon. But the peace that's been placed in your heart is already a form of relief, already a form of answered prayer. It is proof that you are not being ignored, proof that something is shifting even if you can't see it yet. So the next time you feel that wave of calmness wash over you, pause and appreciate it. Don't brush it aside as just a good day. It is so much more than that. It's a gift. It's a sign, it's a gentle reassurance that what you whispered in your darkest hour has not disappeared into silence. You've been heard, and the answer has already started taking shape inside you. Peace doesn't always shout its presence. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it enters like a soft breeze, unnoticed at first, but deeply felt once you pay attention. And once you do, you realize that this is one of the clearest signs that your journey toward healing has begun. So hold on to that peace, nurture it, recognize it for what it is, a message of comfort, a quiet but undeniable answer. Because sometimes the most powerful sign that your prayer has been accepted is not the change in your situation, but the change in you. And when peace quietly finds you, you can be sure your words did not go unheard. When you pray for something with all your heart, it's natural to hold on to the image of exactly how you want it to happen. You picture the result, the timing and the details. You convince yourself that unless it unfolds in the way you've imagined, you won't be okay. And so when things don't go your way, immediately you feel crushed. You start to believe your prayer hasn't been accepted. But here's a sign that often goes unnoticed. The gentle shift in your perspective. Over time, you begin to see things differently. The same situation that once felt unbearable no longer controls you the way it used to. The same outcome that once seemed like the only way forward doesn't hold the same power over you anymore. Something inside begins to change. You start to open your heart to possibilities you never considered before. This shift is not weakness, it's not giving up. It's not your mind settling for less. It's a sign that your prayer has been heard and your heart is being prepared for what's truly best for you. Think about it. When you were younger, there were things you wanted so badly, things you believed you could not live without. Perhaps it was a certain friendship, a dream job, or even material possessions. At the time, you were convinced your happiness depended on it. But looking back now, can you see how life guided you towards something different? Can you see how what once felt like the end of the world was actually a redirection towards something greater? That's the kind of shift we're talking about. When you notice your heart softening to possibilities outside of your original plan, that is a sign. When you find yourself saying, even if things don't go exactly as I imagined, I know I will still be okay. That is a sign. This is how prayers are answered, not just by changing the circumstances around you, but by transforming the way you see those circumstances. One of the greatest burdens we carry is the need to control outcomes. We want life to happen on our schedule, in our way, and according to our design. But holding on to that control exhausts us. It keeps us in a constant state of stress and disappointment. When your perspective begins to shift, it's as if a door inside you has opened. Suddenly you are willing to trust that even if your plan doesn't work out, something better might be unfolding behind the scenes. This shift in mindset is a powerful sign that your prayer has been accepted. Why? Because it shows that your heart is aligning with a higher wisdom. You're no longer trapped in the prison of it must happen my way. Instead, you're finding freedom in the thought, whatever happens, I can still find peace. I can still find growth. I can still find happiness. And this change in perspective brings something else, relief. Think of how heavy it feels when you're clinging tightly to one specific outcome. Every delay feels unbearable. Every obstacle feels like a punishment. Every no feels like rejection. But when your perspective shifts, you no longer see obstacles as punishments. You start to see them as guidance. You begin to trust that delays aren't denials, they are simply protection. That sense of relief, that ability to breathe again, is a sign your prayer is already in motion. Your heart is being guided to accept, to trust, to let go of fear. That's not something you can force on your own. It's something that unfolds when your cries have been heard. Maybe right now you're noticing this shift in yourself. Perhaps you prayed for a specific relationship to work out, and while you still care deeply, you find yourself slowly realizing that your worth is not tied to whether or not it lasts. Or maybe you prayed for a certain job opportunity, and though you didn't get it, you're surprised to feel a sense of openness toward new paths. That feeling, that quiet willingness to move forward, is a sign. And here's the beautiful part. Once your perspective shifts, new doors start to open. You begin to notice opportunities you never paid attention to before. You start meeting people you might have overlooked. You gain insights you couldn't see when you were consumed with a single outcome. This is how answered prayers often unfold, not through sudden miracles, but through gradual redirection. Think of it like being lost in a forest. At first you're clinging to one path, convinced it's the only way out. But no matter how hard you push forward, that path leads to a dead end. You keep begging for a way forward, not realizing there are other trails nearby. Then suddenly something shifts. You stop fighting the dead end and turn your head just slightly. That's when you notice a new trail you hadn't seen before. You take it, and step by step you realize it's guiding you out of the forest. That change of perspective, that small turn of your head, is what allows you to see the answer that was waiting for you all along. So if you've been noticing yourself softening, loosening your grip, or seeing your situation with new eyes, recognize it for what it is. It's not random, it's not you lowering your standards, it's your heart being guided, it's your soul being prepared, it's your prayer being accepted in ways deeper than you may have expected. The truth is, sometimes the situation doesn't change right away because you are the one meant to change first. And when you do, everything else begins to align. That shift in perspective is proof that something greater is unfolding. Proof that your cries are not in vain. Proof that what you asked for has already been acknowledged. So don't overlook this sign. If you find yourself thinking differently, feeling differently, or opening your heart to new possibilities, embrace it. This shift is a blessing. It's a sign of growth, of healing, of answered prayers. And once you recognize it, you'll see that your journey is not stuck. It's already moving forward in ways more profound than you imagined. Sometimes you pray and pray, convinced that nothing is happening. You're waiting for a big change, a dramatic shift, something that will instantly prove to you that your words were heard. But the reality is, answered prayers don't always arrive with thunder and lightning. Sometimes they arrive in quiet opportunities, in small doors that open when you least expect them. One of the most overlooked signs that your prayer has been accepted is the way life begins to gently shift in your favor. It doesn't always happen all at once. It might not even look like an answer at first. But little by little, new paths appear. You meet someone who points you in the right direction. You come across information that inspires you. A chance encounter, a delayed plan, or even what you thought was a disappointment ends up steering you towards something better. Think about the times in your life when you thought you missed out. Perhaps you didn't get the job you applied for, and at the time it felt devastating. But months later, a different opportunity came your way, one that aligned far more with your skills, your passions, and your growth. At that moment, you realized the earlier no wasn't rejection, it was redirection. It was the closing of one door to lead you to another. That is a sign when your prayer has been accepted. Life often begins to rearrange itself in subtle ways. The people who aren't meant to be part of your journey slowly drift away. The plans that would have harmed you quietly fall apart. The commitments that no longer serve you begin to loosen. and at the same time, new opportunities quietly start presenting themselves. That shift is not random, it's a sign that your path is being shaped in response to the words you've spoken from your heart. But here's the challenge. You have to pay attention. If you are too focused on expecting a dramatic miracle, you might miss the small openings that are happening all around you. That phone call that came at the right moment. That stranger who gave you advice you needed to hear. That setback that forced you to pause and rethink. These are not coincidences, these are the doors that begin to open. Imagine you're walking down a hallway filled with closed doors. You're banging on one particular door, begging it to open. You're so focused on that one door that you don't notice another door quietly unlocking behind you. The opportunity is there. But because you're fixated on what you thought you wanted, you might miss it. That's why a shift in awareness is so important. The signs are often quiet. The doors don't always swing wide open. They may open just enough for you to step through, but that step is all you need. And once you recognize these doors, something changes in you. You begin to feel guided. You start trusting that the events unfolding in your life are not random. You begin to walk with more confidence because you see that even when one path closes, another is opening. That awareness is itself a sign of acceptance. Perhaps you've already experienced this recently. Maybe you lost something you thought you couldn't live without, only to find yourself being led to something even better. Maybe someone walked out of your life, and though it hurt deeply, that absence created the space for healthier connections to enter. Maybe a plan you were clinging to fell apart, and now you find yourself on a journey you never imagined, but one that feels more aligned with who you are becoming. These aren't just accidents. They are the unfolding of your prayer in ways you couldn't have planned yourself. And here's the beautiful truth. Doors don't open unless you are ready to walk through them. Sometimes the delay in your prayer being answered isn't rejection, it's preparation. You may not have been ready before, the timing may not have been right. But once your heart shifts, once you grow, once you learn, the doors begin to open naturally. That's a sign that your prayer has matured into its season of fulfillment. So the next time something doesn't work out, pause before calling it a failure. Ask yourself, what doors might be opening because of this? Look for the subtle changes, the invitations, the connections, the redirection. They may not look like the answer you imagine, but they are the answer you need. Think about rain. When you pray for it, you might expect thunderclouds and a heavy downpour. But sometimes the answer comes as a light drizzle, gentle and quiet, nourishing the earth drop by drop. The ground doesn't become fertile in an instant, it's watered slowly until it blooms. That's how doors open too, slowly, quietly, one step at a time, until you look back and realize your entire life has shifted. So don't ignore the small signs. Don't dismiss the quiet opportunities. If you feel nudged in a new direction, pay attention. If someone comes into your life and offers you encouragement, don't overlook it. If an unexpected change forces you to move differently, recognize that this may be the very sign you've been waiting for. The truth is, prayers are often answered not by changing everything around you all at once, but by aligning circumstances little by little until you find yourself exactly where you need to be. That alignment, the doors that begin to open, is one of the clearest signs that your voice was heard. And when those doors open, even slightly, have the courage to walk through, trust the guidance, embrace the shift. Because once you step into the opportunities being placed before you, you'll begin to see with your own eyes, your prayer wasn't ignored. It was shaping your journey all along, leading you exactly where you were meant to go. One of the most powerful signs that your prayer has been accepted isn't found in your circumstances at all. It's found in you. It's in the strength that begins to grow inside you. The resilience you didn't know you were capable of, the courage you discover when you thought you had none left. So often people assume that an answered prayer means life suddenly becomes easier. They believe that relief will come only when the hardship disappears. But sometimes the true answer isn't the removal of the difficulty, it's the inner strength you gain to face it. It's the way you rise each morning when you thought you couldn't. It's the way you carry the same burden that once crushed you, but now somehow you are still standing. That strength is not random. It's not something you created out of nothing. It's the result of your cries being heard. It's the gift that comes when your soul is nourished, even if your situation hasn't changed yet. Think about a tree in the middle of a storm. The winds are fierce, the rain is pouring, and yet the tree does not fall. Why? Because its roots have grown deep. You might look at the tree and think it's fragile because its branches are swaying wildly, but in truth it's strong because it has been anchored. That's what inner strength is. On the surface, you may feel shaken, but deep inside, you are more rooted than ever. Perhaps you felt this recently. You faced something you thought would break you, but it didn't. Yeah, you experienced pain that you thought would destroy you, but here you are, still breathing, still moving forward. That strength is a sign. It's proof that your prayer has already been answered, not by removing the storm, but by anchoring you through it. And this strength shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's the patience you never thought you could have. Sometimes it's the ability to forgive when bitterness once consumed you. Sometimes it's the decision to keep going when quitting felt easier. These small acts of resilience are not coincidences. They are evidence that you've been heard. Have you ever noticed how, before a hardship, you might think, if that ever happens to me, I'll never survive it. And then when it does happen, somehow you do survive. Somehow you keep moving, even if you don't know how. That survival isn't luck. It's a gift. It's a response to your prayer for strength, for endurance, for guidance. And the beauty of this kind of strength is that it doesn't just help you survive, it helps you grow. When you endure what you thought was unbearable, you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. You realize you're more capable than you ever imagined. You realize your worth is not defined by what happens to you, but by how you rise in response. That discovery is part of your answered prayer. Sometimes the very fact that you're still here is the sign you've been looking for. Because there were moments when the pain was so heavy, you didn't think you could keep going. But you did. You're still here. And that survival, that strength, that resilience is living proof that you are not abandoned. Think of a person climbing a mountain. At the base, they look up and think, I'll never make it to the top. I don't have what it takes. But step by step, they climb. Their legs ache, their lungs burn. But somehow they keep going. And before they know it, they've reached heights they never believed possible. That's what happens when your prayer for help is answered with strength. You don't just stay at the bottom, you rise higher than you ever thought you could. And here's the most beautiful part. This strength doesn't just benefit you, it becomes a source of hope for others. When people see you enduring with grace, when they see you standing tall despite the storms, they are reminded that they can endure too. Your strength becomes their inspiration. Your survival becomes their encouragement. And in this way, the answer to your prayer ripples outward, touching lives you didn't even realize. So, if you've been noticing a new strength in yourself, honor it. If you've been carrying pain but still finding reasons to smile, recognize it. If you've been holding on when everything inside you told you to let go, celebrate it. This resilience is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. It is a sign that your cries have been answered in one